So we're going to do a really quick look at the template that we're providing that is giving you the line settings that you need to use for your to describe where your folds are and your cuts are on your new design. So you've designed a potentially very complicated folded A3 piece of paper that has cuts and folds and some tucks potentially, and what we would like you to do is now flatten it back out, as we were talking about before, flattening it out and scanning it. And then once you have it scanned, as we did in the previous project, now you're going to describe those scan lines based on the use that you have, so that you sort of provide a kind of loose instruction or a guide to how to fold your document. And so in order to do that, we have a template here, and you can see the line styles are over here. And how do I use the line styles? So we will show you how to, basically you'll have a cut line, a cut and tuck line if you have it. You may not have it. You have a fold up and a fold down line, and then there's an arrow style if you need it. And that's just to keep everybody's visual language consistent, and so you don't spend a lot of time trying to explore how to make the graphics. You spend your time trying to describe your actual folding. So I don't have as complex of a scan that you all have, but I'm going to go ahead, and this is my A3 artboard. I should have a layer that's called lines. If you need to rename your layer number 1, just type in lines right there. You can make a new layer and you'll name it scans. Mine is already there. It says scans. Or it says scan. So then on that layer, I'll go ahead and lock the lines layer so that I don't mess it up. I go to scan, and I want to go to file, place, and then I want to place the document that I'm looking for. And if I click, in my case I scanned it at A4 because that's what size it is, but your size should be fully A3. I'm gonna hold the shift key to make it bigger, and it's something like this. Yours is going to be a lot more complicated, but for the sake of this demo, let's just go forward. So if I wanted to access, say, the cut line, I'm going to move the lines layer on top of the scan just so that it's a little bit easier to manage, because the lines are what I want to see. The scan itself is not the main artwork that I'm making. So anyway, you can use the pen tool here, and let's see, we got the pen tool, and we're going to check our line style. So we can use the eyedropper tool to mouse over any of these lines. Let's go ahead and do the fold up lines, let's say. So if I click on that, you see down here it turns it blue, and then if I went to my stroke palette, I would see that it's a dashed line with 2 point and 5 points in between it with rounded terminals, so rounded caps, you can say. So now if I go back to my pen tool and I click somewhere, I know this is an up line because I know that, and I click down here, it's going to give me that style of line, and you can see it there just barely. These lines are not meant to be really loud, they're actually meant to be a bit quiet, because we want this to be a visually quiet outcome set of instructions. But you can see that there you have the line as I just described it. So continue to do that with all the upfolds. This one's also an upfold. And if you struggled with this on the last project, I encourage you to go and do the tutorials of how to use the pen tool. If you don't, you will struggle again, and quite honestly, you may continue to struggle for a while, and we don't want you to struggle, but we cannot make you learn things. So do the tutorials that are available. There's a lot out there of how to use the pen tool. That's the primary tool we're using for this project, and it's going to make a big difference in the speed with which you're able to describe your directions here, or your outlines. So anyway, if I want to change the line that I'm making, I'm going to go over here, choose the eyedropper tool, select on the fold down style, say for instance. I know this is a down fold, so I'll go ahead and bring it to here, and I know this is a down fold. Some people will call that a valley. which, yeah, you could easily call it a valley. We're just calling it down just to make it a little bit simpler or more clear, maybe. What if you get confused? Well, you'll have to refer to your model to figure that out, and this will be a little bit confusing. So anyway, you know, it'll be a back and forth between the thing that you've made and the thing and its scan. So make sure you document it really well before you flatten it out, and you sort of, maybe when you unfold it, you take track of it at each stage so you know which part is going where. But then to check how your lines are going and what it's looking like, if you click on your layers and you turn off the scan layer, you'll see your lines in there describing where you're supposed to do it. So ideally you have no patterns. This is the final output in this case is going to be a traced instruction sheet or a template sheet for your sculpture, and you would print this out, and then someone else could take it in theory and fold it up, but we want you to take it and fold it up. So you have the flat printed one, and then with these lines on it, and then you'll use another flat printed one and you'll cut it and you'll fold it according to how it's supposed to be made, this time with no patterns visible, only these guidelines to take you through the process. You'll only be printing on one side if that's not already clear, and it's not too difficult to sample these, but remember you're using the eyedropper tool and clicking on whichever style you want, and then clicking on the pen tool, and then it will do what you ask it to do. And you see now the arrow style. Well, the arrow didn't show up. Okay, well, I will check on that. If it does that, and that may happen to you, you can come over here and select your line and select the eyedropper tool again, and we should be able to get the arrow to show up. It doesn't want to go. If you need an arrow, come here and put the arrow at the end. Use arrow number 5, and there it is. I don't know why that's not a part of the style, but that's how you do it. It's in, if your stroke tool doesn't look like this, it's because it looks like this. If you see this, you need to click on this menu and click show options, and you get all this good stuff here. Okay, so good luck everybody.